Let me start with a brutal truth most men don't want to hear. When a woman ignores you, it's not always about her. It's about you. And the way you react in that moment will either expose your weakness or reveal your strength. Most guys completely fail this test. They panic. They double text. They beg for attention. They wonder what they did wrong. And in the process they destroy their own value without even realizing it. Now, here's the controversial part. A woman ignoring you is not the problem. The real problem is the way men have been trained to respond. Society has drilled into men the idea that they have to chase harder, prove themselves more, and constantly earn a woman's time. That's nonsense. When you act that way, you're not just giving her attention. You're giving her your power, and the moment she feels your power slip away, she loses respect for you. I know this might sound harsh, but let's be real. Women ignore men all the time. Sometimes it's because they're genuinely busy. Sometimes it's because they're testing you, and sometimes it's because they simply don't see you as valuable. But here's the thing, your reaction determines whether she keeps ignoring you or starts paying attention, and most men, they fail this test miserably. Think about it. How many times have you seen a guy send message after message when she didn't reply? How many times have you seen a man change his whole schedule just to fit into hers even when she's giving him nothing back? That's not confidence. That's desperation. And desperation kills attraction faster than anything else. Here's what I need you to understand. When she ignores you, it's not an invitation to chase. It's an invitation to rise. It's a signal for you to step back, not lean forward. But because most men have been conditioned to believe that ignoring equals rejection, they immediately crumble. They let their ego get shattered because deep down they've built their sense of worth on whether or not a woman responds. And that's the trap you have to escape. Now let's flip the script. What if you didn't react the way she expected? What if instead of blowing up her phone or begging for her attention, you simply pulled away? What if you carried yourself like a man who doesn't have time to play games? That alone destroys her ego because suddenly she's not the one in control anymore. She's expecting you to chase. And when you don't, she's forced to wonder, wait, why isn't he reacting like every other guy? That's the power of not responding with weakness. And I'll tell you something else that might sting. If a woman can ignore you and you still run after her, you've already lost. Not just with her, but with yourself. Because every time you betray your own dignity to chase someone who clearly doesn't respect your time, you reinforce the idea in your own mind that you're not enough. And men who believe they're not enough will always get treated like they're not enough. This is why I say ignoring is never the problem. Ignoring is actually a gift. It exposes where you stand as a man. It shows whether you truly have self-control or whether you're just another desperate guy waiting to be validated. That's why in this video I'm not just going to tell you how to handle it. I'm going to show you how to flip the entire situation to your advantage. But before we go deeper, I want to make something clear. This is not about hating women. This is not about revenge. This is not about trying to play mind games. This is about one thing only: respect. Your respect. If she doesn't see your value, you don't chase, you don't beg, you don't prove. You simply show through your actions that you're not a man who tolerates disrespect. And the irony is the moment you do that, her perception of you changes. So, let's set the tone right now. If you're the guy who's been double texting, stop. If you're the guy who rearranges his entire life just to get a reply, stop. If you're the guy who feels his whole mood crash because one woman didn't respond, stop. Because here's the truth. The moment you allow one person's attention or lack of attention to define you, you've already lost control of your life. And if you lose control of your life, you lose control of everything else. Your confidence, your focus, your direction. In this video, I'm going to break it all down into simple steps. By the time we're done, you'll know exactly what to do when a woman ignores you, how to protect your self-respect, and most importantly, how to turn the tables so that her silence doesn't hurt you. It hurts her ego. So if you're ready to stop playing the game like every other man and finally start leading with strength instead of weakness, keep watching. Stop chasing. Let her feel the silence. Here's the first mistake most men make when a woman ignores them. They start chasing harder. They send another text, then another. They call, they leave messages, they even scroll through her social media, liking old pictures just to remind her they exist. And guess what? None of that works. In fact, it does the opposite. It kills her attraction instantly. Why? Because chasing communicates one thing. You don't have options. It screams desperation. And no matter how much a woman likes attention, she will always lose respect for a man who needs her more than she needs him. Here's the controversial truth most men don't want to hear. When she ignores you, your best move is not to do more. It's to do nothing. You let the silence hang. You don't send the follow-up text. You don't try to remind her of your worth. You don't make excuses for her. You step back and let her feel the absence of your presence. Now, I know what you're thinking, but won't she forget about me? That's exactly the fear that keeps most men trapped. They believe if they stop chasing, she'll move on. But here's what actually happens. When you stop flooding her with attention, she feels the space. She notices the quiet. She realizes that, unlike every other man who chases harder, you're different. You don't beg for attention, and that alone makes her curious. Think about this. Attention is like oxygen to the ego. When you keep supplying it, she breathes easy. When you cut it off, suddenly there's no air, and she has to wonder, why isn't he chasing? Did I lose his interest? Is he talking to someone else? That shift puts you back in control without saying a single word. But here's where most men fail. They try to fake silence. They stop texting for a day, but deep down, they're still waiting, still watching, their phone, still checking her status, updates. That's not real silence, that's just holding your breath. The key here is genuine detachment. You're not ignoring her to punish her, you're simply refusing to reward her behavior with more of your attention. And this doesn't mean you get rude, it doesn't mean you throw insults or try to act cold. It means you carry yourself with quiet strength. You give her nothing, no reaction, no extra energy, because the moment you react, you've handed her control. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a man texting a woman and she doesn't respond. Hours go by. Instead of sending another message, he closes his phone, goes to the gym, finishes his work, and later heads out with his friends. The next day, he's living his life like normal, focused, busy, unavailable. She checks her phone, expecting him to have followed up. But there's nothing. That silence says more than any text ever could. Suddenly, she's not just ignoring, she's wondering. That wondering is powerful. It creates tension. It makes her rethink her decision to stay silent. And here's the twist. When she finally does reach out, it won't be because you begged. It'll be because she realized you're not a man who chases. You're a man who values himself enough to walk away. Now, some men will say, but isn't that playing games? It's not a game. It's a standard. It's the way a man protects his dignity. Chasing after someone who ignores you isn't love. It isn't respect, and it isn't strength. It's weakness disguised as effort. Real strength is silence. Real strength is walking away when your energy isn't valued. And here's what's even more controversial. When you stop chasing, you're not just affecting her. You're transforming yourself. You're training your mind to detach from validation. You're learning to be okay with silence, to stay calm under pressure, to keep your focus on your own life instead of someone else's approval. That mindset shift alone makes you 10 times more attractive, not just to her, but to everyone around you. So the next time a woman ignores you, remember this: your silence is louder than any message you could ever send. Don't fall into the trap of proving yourself. Don't try to win her back with words. Let the silence do the work. And in that silence, build yourself. Work out. Learn a skill. Hang out with friends. Do something that raises your value, because when she comes back, and often she will, you won't just be the man she ignored. You'll be the man she regrets ignoring. To wrap this up, stop chasing, stop begging, stop proving. If she wants to ignore you, let her, because the truth is, you're not losing her. She's losing you. And the moment you truly believe that, you'll never feel powerless again. Raise your value. Show you don't need her. Let's be real here. Most men live their lives with their value tied directly to how much attention they get from women. If she responds, they feel good. If she ignores them, they feel worthless. That, right there, is the biggest weakness men carry today. And here's the truth most guys don't want to face. The less you need her, the more she needs you. Sounds harsh, right? But it's the reality. A man who shows that his world doesn't collapse when a woman ignores him is a man who stands out from the crowd. Because the majority of men, they make women the center of their universe. They drop everything for a reply. They lose focus on their goals just to check if she noticed them. That's not value. That's dependence. Here's the controversial part. Women are not attracted to men who depend on them for validation. They may entertain the attention for a while, but deep respect only comes when you make it clear through your actions that you don't need them to feel complete. And that's where raising your value comes in. So what does it mean to raise your value? It means you stop making her the priority and start making yourself the priority. It means your time, your energy, your focus, your money, your health, your purpose, they all come before sitting around waiting for her to notice you. Because when you live like that, your presence naturally commands respect. Here's something you've probably experienced. The moment you start focusing on yourself, people begin to treat you differently. When you carry yourself with confidence, when you're busy working on your goals, when you walk into a room with your head up, people notice. They can feel that energy. It's different. And women, they notice it the most. Now, let me be clear. Raising your value isn't about trying to look impressive. It's not about showing off or pretending you're better than others. It's about becoming genuinely valuable. When you build yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally, you don't just look confident, you are confident. And that confidence speaks louder than any words. This is where most men get it wrong. They think raising value means buying fancy clothes or flexing money they don't have. But real value is deeper. It's in the way you carry yourself when you walk alone. It's in the way you stay calm under pressure. It's in the way you know your purpose and stay focused on it. No matter who comes and goes from your life. That's what makes people respect you. And here's another hard truth. When you stop needing her, you stop fearing her silence, because suddenly her reply, or lack of it, doesn't define your worth. You've already defined it yourself. That shift puts you in a different category. You're no longer the guy begging for attention. You're the guy she can't ignore because your life is bigger than her. The beauty of this is that it flips the dynamic completely. When you show you don't need her, it doesn't push her away. It pulls her in. Because what's rare is valuable, and what's valuable is chastened. And a man who doesn't need constant validation is rare. That's why women are drawn to men who lead their own lives, who have their own direction, who aren't controlled by their emotions. Think about it. When you raise your value, you don't just get respect from women. you get respect from everyone. Men respect you because you're disciplined. Friends respect you because you have boundaries. And women respect you because they can't control you. That's real power. And it starts with one decision to stop making her attention your source of self-worth. So here's the lesson. If she ignores you, let her. Because your focus isn't on proving yourself to her. It's on proving yourself to yourself. And when you live like that, your value naturally rises. You walk differently. You talk differently. You think differently. And that's when people notice. Not because you're trying, but because you've become the type of man who can't be ignored. To put it simply, stop showing her you need her and start showing yourself that you don't. That's how you raise your value. That's how you flip the script. And that's how you become the man she respects. Whether she replies to you or not, flip the power. Make her wonder about you. Here's the truth. Most men don't want to face. Too many of you hand over you or power the moment a woman gives you attention or takes it away. You let her control your mood, your confidence, even your self-image. If she replies, you're happy. If she ignores you, you're depressed. That right there is why so many men are losing in today's world. It's time to wake up. You were never meant to be controlled by silence, attention, or approval. The moment you tie your confidence to someone else's response, you've already lost. And until you break that mindset, you'll keep repeating the same cycle. Waiting, chasing, hoping, begging. That's not strength. That's weakness. Flipping the power isn't about revenge, and it's not about games. It's about living in such a way that she has no choice but to wonder about you. It's about becoming unpredictable in the best way possible. Because you're no longer dancing to her rhythm, you're moving to your own. And when a man lives by his own rhythm, he's impossible to ignore. Let's be blunt here. Most men are way too easy to figure out. The moment she ignores you, you either chase harder or you disappear in bitterness. Both moves are predictable. Both moves show weakness. But when you don't react the way she expects, that's when her mind shifts. That's when she starts asking questions. Why isn't he chasing me like the others? What's different about him? Did I lose my hold on him? That wondering is where the power flips, and it doesn't come from fake confidence. It comes from discipline, from genuinely being busy with your own life, from having goals, priorities, and standards that don't bend just because someone ignored your message. Now, here's the criticism part, and some of you need to hear this. Too many men are addicted to comfort. You scroll all day, you complain, you wait for someone else to validate you. And then you wonder why you're easy to ignore. Wake up. Nobody respects a man who doesn't respect himself enough to build his life. If your only focus is growth, purpose, and strength, suddenly you're not chasing anymore. You're being chased. Ask yourself this. If she ignored you today, would you even notice? Or would you be too busy working, improving, and living your life to care? That's the position you need to reach, because once you get there, the power naturally shifts. She'll notice your silence. She'll notice your discipline. And most importantly, she'll notice that her ignoring you didn't affect you at all. That is what makes her wonder about you. And here's the thing. Wondering creates attraction. It creates respect. When she doesn't know where she stands with you, she can't relax. And that's not because you're playing games, but because you're truly unpredictable in the best way. You're not seeking her approval. You're living for yourself. Men need to understand this. Mystery is power. If you're always available, always chasing, always reacting, there's no mystery. She knows exactly where you stand, and that kills her curiosity. But when you stop giving her all of your energy, when you move in silence, when you make her work to figure you out, that's when she starts investing. That's when she starts putting in effort. So, how do you flip the power? You do it by creating a life so strong, so full, so focused, that whether she ignores you or not, you keep moving forward. You flip the script by refusing to be predictable. You flip it by no longer being desperate for attention, but instead becoming the kind of man whose attention is rare, valuable, and respected. And listen carefully. If you're still making excuses for why you can't do this, if you're still blaming women for ignoring you instead of fixing your own weaknesses, then you'll stay exactly where you are, frustrated, overlooked, and powerless. But if you wake up, if you start taking your life seriously, if you finally stop handing over your energy so cheaply, then you'll notice something powerful. People begin to treat you differently. Women notice, men notice, and most importantly, you notice. That's the shift. That's the flip. It starts with you refusing to be controlled, refusing to be predictable, refusing to give away your self-worth. And once you do that, she's the one left wondering, not you. We've talked about silence, we've talked about value, and we've talked about flipping the power. But now it's time to finish with a truth that most men simply don't want to accept. Here it is. If a woman can ignore you and it completely destroys your confidence, then you were never confident in the first place. That's the harsh reality. Too many men build their self-worth on how women react to them. If she replies, they feel good. If she ignores them, they feel worthless. That's not confidence, that's dependency. And dependency is weakness. Confidence isn't about who texts you back. Confidence is about who you are when nobody is watching, when nobody is validating you, when nobody is giving you the attention you crave. That's the test of a real man. And if you fail that test, then it doesn't matter how many tricks or strategies you learn. You'll always be chasing, begging, and proving yourself. Here's the controversial statement I want you to sit with. Most men don't get ignored by women because women are cruel. They get ignored because they've made themselves too easy to ignore. Think about it. If your entire personality is built around seeking approval, what's interesting about that? If you're predictable, if you're always available, if you have no mystery, no edge, no purpose, why would anyone respect that? Why would anyone chase that? And this is where most of you need to wake up. Stop blaming women for everything. Stop crying that she ignored me like it's the end of the world. The real problem isn't her silence. The real problem is that you haven't built yourself into someone who can handle silence without falling apart. That's where the work starts. Not with her, but with you. Because here's another truth. The moment you stop needing her attention, her ignoring you won't even feel like rejection. It'll feel like nothing. You'll be too focused, too driven, too alive in your own purpose to care. And ironically, that's when she'll come chasing. That's when the power shifts. That's when you flip the script completely. But if you don't fix this now, you'll keep repeating the same cycle. Ignored, desperate, weak, chasing over and over again until one day you wake up and realize you've wasted years begging for validation that never made you stronger. That's why I'm telling you this today, not to put you down, but to call you out, to challenge you, to wake you up. So let's bring it back to the point. When she ignores you, stop chasing. When she ignores you, raise your value. When she ignores you, flip the power. Because the man who can't be controlled by silence is the man who owns the room. And the man who owns the room never has to beg to be noticed. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, have you ever been ignored? And how did you handle it? Be honest. Did you chase harder? Did you get frustrated or did you walk away? I'll be going through the comments myself and I want to connect with you. Your experiences matter, not just for you, but for every man watching this who's been through the same thing. Because this is bigger than one reply, bigger than one woman, bigger than one situation. This is about building men who don't collapse at the first sign of silence. This is about building men who stand strong, who live with purpose, who don't let their value depend on anyone else's attention. So here's my final message to you. Stop being the man who's easy to ignore. Become the man who's impossible to forget.